All right. Is everybody ready? Awesome. Before I begin, I would like to say that this speech does contain some potentially intense or sensitive material, so please use discretion when viewing. All right. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. What are you willing to lose for God? Although it's a rather simple question, it's one of the most important things Christians can ask themselves. In Matthew 16:24, Jesus tells us, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." Today we're going to be looking at 3 different stories. 3 different people all faced with the same question. Will they still trust God, even if he takes what they love? In our first story, we see what happens when Satan asks God about a prosperous man named Job. Job 109-22, ESV. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And there came a messenger to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the donkeys feeding beside them, and the Zabrians fell upon them and took them and struck the servants down with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you." And while he was yet speaking, there another came to him and said, "The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep of the servants and consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you." And while he was yet speaking, there another came to him and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 groups and made a raid on the camels and took them and struck the servants down with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you." And while he was yet speaking, there another came to him and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And behold, a great wind came across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young people. And they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. Accepting God's will for our lives may not be easy. It takes faith. Faith that trusts that God has a purpose for what he's doing. Job could have blamed God for taking everything, but he chose rather to let it all go. Letting go of the things we have is hard, but it is often far harder to let go of the people in our lives. For a Purpose by Jonathan Skeate. "Mrs. Wheaton, I'm Dr. Larson. I've been attending your son since the car accident. Please, have a seat. Look, there's no easy way to say this, so I'm just going to come out and say it. Your son is gravely injured. I've been conducting some tests this morning to determine his mental state. And I regret to say that in every test, his body didn't respond." "What are you talking about? What do you mean?" "Ma'am, your son fits all the criteria for what's known as brain death. That means there's an absence of brainstem reflexes and is no longer performing any life functions." "But he'll get better though, right?" "I regret to say that it's an irreversible condition. There's no chance of survival." "No. No, 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 no." My son! My son! That night, I couldn't sleep. I don't care what the doctor said. I know my son still has a fighting chance, and I'm not about to give up on him, whatever the odds may be. But then, I remembered what the doctor had said next about someone needing an organ donor. A donor would give them their life back, literally, if only they could find someone who was willing. I knew my son would be. He would want to help whoever he could in whatever way he could. It was in that moment that I realized the only thing holding me back was myself. I needed to make a choice. The hardest choice a mother could ever make. I needed to surrender him to God. But how? What if he takes him from me? God, why? Why haven't you healed him yet? I know that you can. I have faith that you will, so why haven't you? Please, don't take him from me. I reached to pick up my Bible and saw where it had opened to. For my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Okay, Lord, I don't know what you have planned, but I know that you have a purpose for everything you do that I just can't see now. So, I surrender my son to you. Thy will be done. God never promised us that life would be easy. Oftentimes, we won't know why he does the things he does. But we must continue to trust and follow him no matter the cost, even if it costs us our lives. In our final story, we see Father Samuel, a priest in a remote Yugoslavian village during World War II, forced to decide between his faith and what he loves when renegade Serbian commander Karsidic threatens to destroy it all. The Martyr's Song by Ted Dekker. The courtyard had become a wasteland filled with frozen guards and moaning women and whimpering children. Others stood expressionless, waiting for Karsidic's next move in this absurd game. The commander jerked his pistol from his belt and shoved it against the priest's forehead. You think your dead Christ will save you now? I think I'll shoot you! Yes! Please, show them kindness. They have done nothing. Them. Renounce your faith, priest. Renounce your faith, and I will leave. I will leave you all! Renounce Christ? Never. I can never renounce Christ. What do you say, priest? What's it worth? Should I put one of your children out of misery? Or will you renounce your stupid faith? Take my life, sir. Please leave the boy. Then renounce your faith, you blithering idiot! They're just words. Words! They're the words of Christ. He's my Redeemer, my Savior, my Creator. How can I deny him? Please, sir, if you must have a death, let it be mine. Dear Father, give me strength. One of you. If one of you will renounce Christ, I will leave you all. What's wrong with you? Can't you hear? I said one of you. Your threat of death doesn't frighten us, soldier. We've been purchased by blood. We live by the power of that blood. And we would die for that blood. And we would never renounce our beloved Christ. He is our creator, sir. My children, please let me go. Don't hold me back. Don't hold me back. Following God, no matter what, isn't easy, but it is simple. Sometimes God allows us to experience pain to test us, like Job. Other times is to strengthen us, as we see in our second story, or even to strengthen those around us. What are you willing to lose for God? Will you trust him no matter the cost? Thank you.